So we're continuing on with our reading test corrections. We have a poem for Jumper. So I am going to read this one because I didn't read the Shelley Seller because we'd read it the day before. But this one is not on video, so I'm going to read it. Would you like to come to the library with me? Eric's grandfather asked. I wish I could, said Eric, but I need to get started on my homework. I have to write a poem by tomorrow. A poem, said Eric's grandfather. That sounds like fun. Eric was doubtful. I don't think it sounds like fun at all, he said. I don't have anything to write about. Poems are always about love or being sad, and I don't want to write about either of those things. Well, said Eric's grandfather, I have read poems that were about love or were sad, but I think you can write about other things too. I've read poems that are funny or happy too. Usually poems are composed about something the poet feels strongly about. What do you feel strongly about? I feel very strongly about not wanting to write a poem, said Eric grumpily. Could you write a poem about not wanting to write a poem?
Yes.
You totally could. That would be a type of humor called irony. Okay. But his grandfather laughed. Then that might be a good subject for your poem, he said. But maybe we could find something you did want to write about. I know you like building model airplanes and flying kites. I don't want to write a poem about either of those things, said Eric, but I do like my dog a lot. Do you think I could write a poem about him? I think writing a poem about your dog Jumper is a great idea, said Eric's grandfather. Sir, throw it away. Throw it away immediately. But maybe that won't work because I can't think of a good word that rhymes with jumper, said Eric. Thumper, bumper, neither of those seems very good. Poems don't always have to rhyme, said grandfather. I have an idea. Instead of thinking about what you don't like about writing a poem, let's have fun with it. What do you do with Jumper that you enjoy? Eric thought for a minute. I like to throw the ball for him. He jumps into the air to get it and then brings it back to me. I think he enjoys it even more than I do. I throw it and he jumps and brings it back. I throw it and he jumps and brings it back, and over and over. Yes, said Eric's grandfather, poetry can use rhythm like the beats in music, and it uses repetition. I heard you do that when you described how Jumper likes to recover the ball, and then you repeated it. And I think you're on your way to a good poem. Just play with the words a little and have fun with it and see what happens. I'll go to the library, and maybe when I come home, you can let me preview what you've written before you share it with others. When his grandfather got home, Eric was waiting. Look at this, Grandpa, he said, and tell me what you think. Jumper by Eric Montoya. Whoops, let me move this up here. Yep, I guess Montoya is his last name. Okay. Jumper wants to play with me. I throw, he jumps and catches. I throw, he jumps and catches. I throw, he jumps and catches. Throw, jump, fetch. He can go on for hours. He'll go until he drops. He never wants to stop.
That doesn't rhyme.
A surprise rhyme. Eric's grandfather laughed. That's a wonderful poem. Reading it, I know about Jumper, and I know how you feel about him too. And it rhymed at the end, and I didn't even try, said Eric. It just seemed to work out that way. Sometimes that's the best way for a good poem to happen, his grandfather said. Now, if you're through with your homework, why don't we get the ball and take Jumper outside and play with him to thank him for inspiring you? Okay, so number 11. What can the reader conclude about grandfather's behavior in paragraph 7? Now, grandfather has a lot of behavior. Okay, mostly one kind of behavior, but you should look at paragraph 7 because they're asking you to focus right on that. His grandfather laughed. Then that might be a good subject for you, he said, but maybe we can find something you did want to write about. I know you like building model airplanes and flying kites. If it says paragraph 7, what do we do, class? Go back and reread paragraph 7 to make sure you're focused. A, is grandfather frustrated with his grumpy grandson? No. B, does grandfather feel disappointed when Eric isn't writing a poem? No, he's laughing. Grandfather is encouraging his grandson to continue his study. Okay, or D, grandfather is happy to spend time with his grandson. Now, D is probably true, but is that according to paragraph 7? No, C is the correct answer. Okay, so I'm going to put C, and I'm going to put encouraging because he's encouraging.
We can't see it.
Got it, sorry. Encouraging. I have to zoom in so you guys can see it, but then that only gives me a small area to work in, so I have to shuffle things around a lot. All right. Now, what is the best summary of paragraphs 4 through 8?
So you gotta
So what do you have to do?
go back to 4.
Because all of this is included. All right? All of these things are included in the paper, but we need to focus in on paragraph 4 through 8. So let's see here. Number 4 is here. Eric was doubtful. I don't think it sounds like fun at all. Blah, blah, blah. Doesn't want to write a poem. And then his grandfather says he's read poems that were about love and sad, but usually you can write about other things too. He's read poems that are funny or happy. They're composed about something the poet feels strongly about. What do you feel strongly about? I feel strongly about not wanting to write a poem. I know I'm going super fast, okay? But I'm just scanning through. When you're going back, you just need to refresh your memory what it's about. We read this paragraph. His grandfather laughed and encourages him to write about model airplanes or kites. And it says, I don't want to write a poem about those things, but I do like my dog. I write a poem about him. So I'm gonna focus on those. Okay, in these paragraphs, did Eric's grandfather ask him to go to the library with him?
No.
No, that happened before paragraph 4. So this is not, it's true about the story, but it is not a good answer because notice that is in paragraph number 1, not paragraph number 4. Okay, this one was a little bit tricky because you had to really focus on those paragraphs. Eric didn't want to write a poem because he didn't have anything to write about. With his grandfather's help, he decided to write about his dog. Sounds pretty good. Okay. Eric decided to write a poem about his dog, but was worried he wouldn't be able to rhyme the words. His father encouraged him to have fun with the poem and write about what he liked to do with Jumper.
No.
That was not in, see, notice here it starts with he decided to write a poem about his dog. Is that what paragraph 4 is about? This is about him talking about writing the poem. Okay, so that would be a good summary for paragraphs 9 through 9 through like 12 or something like that. Okay, but that's not a good summary of paragraphs 4 through 8. Eric didn't want to write a poem. His grandfather suggested he write about building model airplanes or flying kites. That is in those paragraphs, but it's not the best one. Okay, so 12 should be B. We're not going to write the whole summary. 12 should be B because that's the best summary for those paragraphs. Remember, if they say a paragraph, you gotta go back and read those. You have to cover your nose, Shannon. Ryan, return to your seat, please. You're not listening to instructions. Return to your seat. You're over here humming and making noise. You're not listening to instructions. You're not supposed to be marking on that test at all. You're supposed to be writing your answers on a separate piece of paper. Please return to your seat immediately. Okay. No, not right now. We're in the middle of grading a test. Go sit down. After reading a poem for Jumper, what is the main problem?